The galaxy had always laughed at Earth. To the advanced civilizations scattered across the stars, humanity was nothing more than a primitive species clinging to a small, blue planet in an unremarkable corner of the Milky Way. For centuries, humans dreamed of reaching the stars, but when they finally did, they were met with mockery. The Krylos Dominion, a race of insect-like beings with sleek ships and razor-sharp claws, dismissed Earth as irrelevant. The Varnax Collective, towering reptilian creatures with skin like molten gold, sneered at humanity's outdated technology. Even the Zentari Federation, known for their diplomatic nature, couldn't hide their amusement when Earth sent its first interstellar probes into neighboring systems. Nathan Cole sat in his dimly lit office, staring at the glowing screens that covered his desk. He was a tall man with sharp features and tired eyes, the kind of person who carried the weight of the world on his shoulders without complaint. Nathan had spent most of his life studying the stars, searching for answers to questions no one else seemed willing to ask. As one of Earth's leading astrophysicists, he had dedicated himself to finding ways for humanity to peacefully coexist with alien races. But every attempt ended in failure. No matter how hard he tried, no matter how many proposals he submitted or speeches he gave, the galaxy treated Earth like a joke. "Nathan," came a soft voice from behind him. He turned to see Lavra Bennett standing in the doorway. She was shorter than him, with curly brown hair and a warm smile that could light up even the darkest room. Lavra wasn't just his wife. She was also a former aerospace engineer turned politician, serving as a key advisor to the United Earth Coalition. Her presence brought a sense of calm to Nathan's chaotic world. "They're laughing again," Nathan said, his voice heavy with frustration. "Every time we send out another probe, every time we try to make contact, they laugh. Do you know what that feels like? To pour your heart into something only to be ridiculed?" Lavra stepped closer, placing a reassuring hand on his shoulder. "I know it's hard," she said gently. "But maybe we need to focus less on proving ourselves to them and more on improving ourselves here at home. We've come so far in such a short time, Nathan." "Maybe we don't need their approval," Nathan sighed, leaning back in his chair. "It's not about approval, Lavra. It's about survival. If we don't find a way to earn their respect, we'll always be vulnerable. One day they might decide we're too much trouble and wipe us out." Lavra didn't argue. She knew Nathan was right, but she also knew there was little they could do to change things overnight. Humanity was still learning how to navigate the vastness of space, while other civilizations had been doing so for thousands of years. Instead of dwelling on the problem, she changed the subject. "Have you looked at the data from the Kuiper Belt yet?" Nathan perked up slightly. "Not yet. Why?" "There's something strange going on out there," Lavra said, pulling up a holographic display. Streams of numbers and graphs floated between them, casting faint blue light across the room. Our deep space telescopes picked up some unusual gravitational anomalies near the edge of the belt. At first, we thought it might be a rogue planet or a dense cluster of asteroids, but she hesitated, choosing her words carefully. "It doesn't match anything we've seen before?" Nathan leaned forward, his interest piqued. "Show me." Lavra tapped a few commands, and the display shifted to show a series of images captured by the telescopes. They weren't clear, just blurry shapes against a backdrop of stars, but Nathan's trained eye immediately noticed something odd. The object appeared to be massive, far larger than any asteroid or comet. Its edges were smooth, almost artificial, and it emitted a faint glow that pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat. "This isn't natural," Nathan murmured, his mind racing. It's a structure." "A structure?" Lavra repeated, her voice tinged with disbelief. "Out there? That's impossible." "Is it?" Nathan countered. "Think about it. We've barely scratched the surface of what's out there. What if this is evidence of an ancient civilization? Or maybe even a relic left behind by someone or something that visited our solar system long ago?" Lavra frowned. "Even if that's true, why would they leave something like this here? And why hasn't anyone found it until now?" "I don't know," Nathan admitted, "but I intend to find out." Over the next few weeks, Nathan threw himself into analyzing the data. He worked tirelessly, often staying late into the night, while Lavra kept him company. Together, they assembled a team of scientists and engineers to investigate further. Among them was Dr. Emily Dawson, a young xenobiologist with a knack for solving puzzles, and Captain Ryan Hayes, a seasoned astronaut known for his calm demeanor under pressure. Both shared Nathan's determination to uncover the truth. The mission to explore the Kuiper Belt was launched within months. A state-of-the-art spacecraft named Odyssey was dispatched, carrying the team along with advanced scanning equipment designed to penetrate the mysterious object's surface. As the ship approached its destination, excitement mingled with unease among the crew. None of them knew what they would find, but all of them felt the weight of history pressing down on their shoulders. When Odyssey finally arrived, the sight that greeted them was breathtaking. The object loomed ahead, its sheer size dwarfing everything around it. Up close, it became clear that the structure was not just large, it was colossal, easily the size of a small moon. Its surface shimmered with an iridescent alloy that seemed to shift colors depending on the angle of the light. Strange patterns etched into the metal caught the eye, swirling like liquid despite being completely solid. "It's beautiful," Emily whispered, her voice filled with awe. "And terrifying," Ryan added, gripping the controls tightly. "What are we dealing with here?" Nathan didn't answer. His gaze was fixed on the structure, his mind working furiously to process what he was seeing. This was beyond anything he had imagined. It wasn't just a relic, it was a masterpiece of engineering, a testament to a level of technology humanity couldn't hope to replicate. And yet, it had been sitting out here in the cold void of space, waiting. As the team began their initial scans, they discovered something even more astonishing. The structure wasn't inert. It was alive in a way none of them could fully comprehend. Energy coursed through its veins, pulsing in sync with the faint glow they had observed earlier. Sensors detected intricate networks of circuits buried beneath the surface, along with chambers and corridors that suggested the object was hollow inside. "This isn't just a piece of junk floating in space," Nathan said, his voice trembling with excitement. "This is a ship, a warship." The revelation sent shockwaves through the team. A warship of this magnitude could change everything, not just for Earth, but for the entire galaxy. But as thrilling as the discovery was, it also raised troubling questions. Who had built it? Why had they abandoned it? And most importantly, what would happen if word of its existence reached the wrong ears? Back on Earth, news of the expedition leaked to the public faster than anyone anticipated. Media outlets exploded with speculation, painting wild pictures of alien invasions and secret government conspiracies. The United Earth Coalition scrambled to contain the situation, issuing vague statements about ongoing research while secretly preparing for the worst-case scenario. Meanwhile, alien empires took notice. The Krylos Dominion dispatched spies to monitor Earth's activities, while the Varnax Collective openly demanded access to the object. Diplomatic channels buzzed with threats and ultimatums, each side jockeying for position in what was rapidly becoming a galactic power struggle. Nathan and Lavra found themselves at the center of the storm. While Nathan focused on unlocking the secrets of the warship, Lavra worked tirelessly to keep the coalition united. She argued passionately for restraint, warning against rushing into decisions that could have catastrophic consequences. But not everyone shared her caution. Some leaders saw the warship as an opportunity, a chance to elevate Earth's status and secure its place among the stars. As tensions mounted, Nathan made a breakthrough. Using data collected during the mission, he managed to decipher part of the ship's internal systems. What he uncovered was both exhilarating and terrifying. The warship was equipped with weapons capable of obliterating entire fleets, along with defensive mechanisms that defied the laws of physics. But activating these systems required a level of control humanity wasn't ready for. "We can't use this," Nathan told Laura one evening as they sat together in their living room. Outside, the city lights twinkled like distant stars. "Not yet. We're not prepared for the responsibility." "But what choice do we have?" Lavra asked, her voice tinged with desperation. If we don't figure out how to wield this power, someone else will, and then what happens to us? Nathan didn't have an answer. All he knew was that the galaxy's laughter had turned into something darker, a mixture of fear and greed. Whatever happened next, Earth was about to step onto a stage it had never been ready for. The discovery of the colossal warship in the Kuiper Belt changed everything for Earth, for humanity, and for the galaxy at large. Nathan Cole stood in the control room of Odyssey, his eyes fixed on the holographic display that showed the ship's massive form. It was impossible to ignore the sheer scale of it. The structure was so large that even the most advanced telescopes had mistaken it for a natural phenomenon until now. Its surface shimmered with an otherworldly glow, and every new scan revealed more details about its complexity. This wasn't just a relic. It was a marvel of engineering far beyond anything humanity had ever imagined. Captain Ryan Hayes paced back and forth near the main console, his boots clicking against the metal floor. He was a man who thrived under pressure, but this situation tested even his limits. We need to figure out how to access it, he said, glancing at Nathan. If we don't move quickly, someone else might beat us to it. Dr. Emily Dawson sat nearby, her fingers flying over a tablet as she analyzed the data streaming in from the ship's exterior. She was younger than most of the team, but her sharp mind and curiosity made her indispensable. There's something strange about the patterns on the surface, she said, pointing to the swirling designs etched into the metal. They're not random. I think there's some kind of interface. Nathan nodded, his brow furrowed in thought. If that's true, then maybe we can activate it. But we have to be careful. We don't know what kind of security measures are in place or what could happen if we trigger the wrong thing. Lavra Bennett joined them later. Having stayed behind to monitor communications with Earth, her expression was tense, and Nathan could tell she had bad news. The Krylos Dominion knows about this, she said bluntly. So does the Varnex Collective? They've already sent ships toward the solar system, claiming they want to investigate, but we both know what that really means, Ryan clenched his fists. They'll try to take it for themselves. If they get their hands on this, we're done. We can't let that happen, Nathan said firmly. This isn't just about Earth anymore. Whoever controls this ship will have power over the entire galaxy. We have to make sure it stays in the right hands. With no time to waste, the team decided to attempt activation of the warship. They suited up in protective gear and boarded a smaller shuttle to approach the object directly. As they drew closer, the shimmering surface seemed to come alive, reflecting their movements in eerie detail. The air inside the shuttle grew heavy with anticipation, and everyone exchanged nervous glances. Emily led the way once they landed on the ship's surface. Using her tablet, she scanned the intricate patterns etched into the metal. After several minutes of intense concentration, she pointed to one section. Here, she said. This pattern looks different from the others. It might be a key or a switch. Nathan hesitated. Are you sure? What if activating it triggers a defense mechanism? We don't have much choice, Lavra interjected. If we don't do this now, we'll lose our chance. Taking a deep breath, Emily pressed her hand against the designated area. For a moment, nothing happened. Then a low hum filled the air, growing louder and more resonant with each passing second. The surface beneath their feet began to shift, opening like the petals of a flower to reveal a glowing core within. The team stepped inside cautiously, their flashlights cutting through the dim light. The interior of the ship was unlike anything they had ever seen. Walls of smooth, metallic material stretched endlessly in all directions, pulsating softly with energy. Strange symbols floated in the air, glowing faintly as though trying to communicate. At the center of the chamber stood a pedestal, atop which rested a crystalline orb. That must be the control system, Nathan said, stepping forward. As he approached, the orb lit up, casting beams of light across the room. A voice echoed around them, deep and melodic, speaking in a language none of them understood. But somehow they grasped its meaning. I am Aegis, the voice announced. I was created by the first builders to safeguard life against extinction. My purpose is to serve those worthy of wielding my power." The team exchanged stunned looks. Nathan recovered first, addressing the orb directly. "Who are the first builders? And why were you left here?" "The first builders perished long ago," Aegis replied. "Their final act was to seal away a great threat, an entity that sought to consume all life. I remain as a failsafe, awaiting a species capable of defending existence itself." Lavra spoke next, her tone cautious. "What kind of threat are you talking about? And how do we know we're worthy?" "You will prove yourselves in time," Aegis said cryptically. "For now, I grant you access to my systems. Use them wisely." As the orb dimmed, the walls of the chamber began to unfold, revealing layer upon layer of machinery. The ship expanded outward, growing exponentially in size until it dwarfed even Jupiter. Its presence loomed over the solar system, a silent giant that radiated both awe and fear. Back on Earth, news of the warship's activation spread like wildfire. Governments scrambled to respond, while citizens watched in shock as images of the massive vessel dominated every screen. The United Earth Coalition convened an emergency meeting to discuss the implications. Some leaders argued for immediate deployment of the ship's weapons, believing it would secure humanity's place among the stars. Others, including Lavra, urged caution, warning of the dangers of wielding such immense power without fully understanding it. Meanwhile, alien fleets mobilized en masse. The Krylos Dominion launched sleek, insectoid vessels armed with razor-sharp claws and plasma cannons. The Varnax Collective followed suit, deploying hulking dreadnoughts bristling with firepower. Both empires demanded Earth surrender the warship, threatening annihilation if their demands weren't met. Nathan and Lavra faced a dilemma. Activating Aegis had given Earth a fighting chance, but using it recklessly could provoke widespread conflict. They needed allies, but trust was in short supply. Many alien races viewed humanity as unpredictable and dangerous, a perception fueled by the sudden appearance of the planet-sized warship. To complicate matters further, tensions rose within the coalition itself. Some factions pushed for aggressive expansion, eager to claim territory and resources from neighboring systems. Others sided with Lava, advocating for diplomacy and restraint. Nathan found himself caught in the middle, torn between his desire to protect Earth and his fear of repeating the mistakes of the very civilizations they sought to emulate. Despite the chaos, Nathan remained focused on unraveling Aegis's secrets. With Emily's help, he delved deeper into the ship's archives, searching for clues about the first builders and the threat they had sealed away. Each new discovery brought more questions than answers, but one thing became clear. Aegis was not merely a tool, it was a guardian, designed to protect life at all costs. As days turned into weeks, the galaxy watched Earth with a mix of fascination and dread. The laughter that had once echoed through the stars had faded, replaced by whispers of unease. Humanity had gone from being a cosmic joke to a potential powerhouse, and no one knew what would happen next. One evening, as Nathan and Lavra sat together in their quarters aboard Odyssey, they reflected on how far they had come and how far they still had to go. "Do you think we made the right decision?" Lavra asked quietly. Nathan sighed, running a hand through his hair. "I don't know. All I know is that we didn't have a choice. If we hadn't activated Aegis, someone else would have. And I'm not sure the galaxy would have been better off." Lavra nodded, her gaze distant. "Whatever happens next, we'll face it together. That's what we do." Outside, the warship loomed silently, its vast form a reminder of the responsibility they now carried. Humanity had taken its first step onto a stage far larger than Earth, and the galaxy held its breath, waiting to see what would come next. The galaxy was no longer laughing. The sight of the planet-sized warship looming over Earth's solar system had silenced every empire, every civilization that had once mocked humanity. But silence didn't mean peace. It meant fear, and fear often led to action. Alien fleets began to gather at the edges of the solar system, their intentions clear. They weren't here to negotiate or to form alliances. They had come to take what they believed belonged to them. Nathan Cole stood on the bridge of Odyssey, staring out at the growing armada through the ship's reinforced windows. The Krylos Dominion's insectoid vessels glinted menacingly in the sunlight, their sharp edges resembling claws ready to strike. Behind them loomed the Varnax Collective's hulking dreadnoughts, each one bristling with weapons powerful enough to shatter moons. Even smaller factions like the Zentari Federation sent ships to join the blockade, eager to claim a piece of the prize for themselves. "They're not giving us much time," Captain Ryan Hayes said, his voice steady despite the tension in the room. He adjusted the controls on his console, keeping a close eye on the fleet movements. "If we don't act soon, they'll overwhelm us." Lavra Bennett stood nearby, her arms crossed as she studied the situation. She had spent years working in politics, but nothing could have prepared her for this moment. "We can't fight them all," she said quietly. "Even with Aegis, we're outnumbered." "We don't have a choice," Nathan replied, turning to face her. His expression was grim but resolute. "If we give up now, Earth will be at their mercy. We've seen how they treat weaker species." "Do you really think they'll let us survive?" Lavra didn't answer. She knew he was right. The Krylos and Varnax weren't known for their kindness. Their empires thrived on conquest and domination, and Earth would be no exception if they lost this battle. Still, the thought of unleashing Aegis's full power filled her with unease. This wasn't just about winning, it was about survival, yes, but also about morality. What kind of future would they create if they became conquerors themselves? Dr. Emily Dawson approached, holding a tablet filled with data from Aegis's systems. Her face was pale, but her eyes sparkled with determination. "I've been studying Aegis's combat capabilities," she said, handing the tablet to Nathan. "It's incredible. The ship has autonomous drones, energy shields, and weapons that can target multiple enemies at once. If we deploy it correctly, we might stand a chance." Nathan scanned the information quickly, his mind racing. "How do we activate these systems?" he asked. "It's already integrated into the controls," Emily explained. "Aegis is designed to adapt to its operators. All we need to do is issue commands, and it will handle the rest." Ryan stepped forward, his jaw set firmly. "And then let's do it. We've trained for this. We know what's at stake." Nathan hesitated, looking around the room at the faces of his team. They were relying on him to make the right decision, not just for themselves, but for all of humanity. Finally, he nodded. "All right, let's get to work." The first wave of alien ships moved in cautiously, testing Earth's defenses. Smaller scout vessels darted between the larger warships, firing probing shots that fizzled harmlessly against Aegis's energy shields. The massive warship remained still, its surface shimmering faintly as though mocking their attempts to harm. From the bridge of Odyssey, Nathan watched the skirmishes unfold, waiting for the right moment to strike. "Now," he said suddenly, his voice cutting through the tension. "Activate the drones." Emily tapped a series of commands into her console. Instantly, thousands of small, sleek drones erupted from Aegis's hull, spreading out like a swarm of insects. Each drone was equipped with advanced targeting systems and miniature plasma cannons, capable of disabling enemy ships with pinpoint accuracy. As they engaged the alien fleet, chaos erupted across the battlefield. The Krylos forces retaliated, fiercely, launching volleys of missiles and plasma bursts at the drones. But Aegis's defenses were impenetrable. Its shields absorbed the attacks effortlessly, while the drones continued their relentless assault. One by one, Krylos ships fell, their hulls torn apart by precise strikes. The Varnax Collective responded with brute force, deploying massive dreadnoughts armed with gravity-based weapons. These ships generated localized distortions in spacetime, attempting to crush Aegis under overwhelming pressure. For a moment, it seemed like the tactic might succeed. The warship's shields flickered under the strain. But then Aegis adapted, counteracting the gravitational fields with its own energy output. The Varnax ships faltered, their weapons rendered useless. As the battle raged on, word of Earth's unexpected strength spread rapidly across the galaxy. Alien leaders who had once dismissed humanity as irrelevant now watched in stunned silence. Some scrambled to reinforce their fleets, while others began pulling back, unwilling to risk further losses. The tide of the conflict shifted dramatically, in Earth's favor, but Nathan knew they couldn't afford to celebrate yet. The alien fleets were vast, and even with Aegis's power, they couldn't hold out forever. He turned to Lavra, who was monitoring communications from Earth. "How's the coalition holding up?" he asked. "They're divided," Lavra admitted, her tone heavy with frustration. "Some factions are pushing for aggressive expansion, using Aegis to seize territory from our enemies. Others want to focus on defense and diplomacy. It's tearing us apart." "We don't have time for infighting," Nathan snapped. "Tell them to put aside their differences or we'll lose everything." Lavra nodded, relaying the message back to Earth. Meanwhile, Nathan focused on the battle. Aegis's systems allowed him to coordinate strategies in real time, adapting to the ever-changing dynamics of the fight. With each passing hour, more alien ships were destroyed or forced to retreat. By the end of the day, the blockade had collapsed entirely, leaving Earth's solar system eerily quiet. The aftermath of the battle brought both relief and uncertainty. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing toe-to-toe with the galaxy's most powerful empires, but at what cost? Images of the devastation flooded news outlets, showing the wreckage of alien ships drifting lifelessly through space. Casualties had been high, and though Earth forces had emerged victorious, the victory felt hollow in the days that followed. Tension simmered within the United Earth Coalition. Some leaders argued that Aegis should be used to expand Earth's influence, claiming it was their duty to protect humanity's future. Others, including Lavra, warned against repeating the mistakes of the very civilizations they had fought against. "We can't become like them," she insisted during a heated meeting. "If we start seizing territory and resources, we'll lose everything we've worked for. Trust and cooperation, they're the only way forward." Nathan found himself caught between these opposing views. On one hand, he understood the logic behind expanding Earth's reach. Aegis gave them an unprecedented advantage, and failing to capitalize on it might leave them vulnerable in the long run. On the other hand, he shared Laura's concerns. Using Aegis as a tool of conquest would transform humanity into something unrecognizable, something he wasn't sure he wanted to be part of. While the coalition debated, Nathan threw himself into studying Aegis's archives. He hoped to uncover more about the first builders and the threat they had sealed away. With Emily's help, he pieced together fragments of data hidden deep within the warship's memory banks. Slowly, a chilling picture began to emerge. The entity they sealed away, it's called the Void Harbinger, Nathan explained to Lavra one evening, his voice low and urgent. According to Aegis's logs, it's a being made of pure entropy, capable of consuming entire star systems. The first builders sacrificed themselves to trap it in another dimension, but what? Lavra prompted, her heart pounding. "There's evidence suggesting that activating Aegis disrupted the seal," Nathan said grimly. "If the Harbinger escapes, it won't just threaten Earth, it'll destroy the entire galaxy." Lavra stared at him, her mind reeling. "Are you saying we unleashed this thing when we woke up Aegis?" "I don't know for sure," Nathan admitted, "but we need to find out before it's too late." Across the galaxy, strange phenomena began to occur. Stars dimmed without explanation, their light snuffed out as though extinguished by an unseen force. Planets vanished overnight, leaving behind empty voids where thriving ecosystems once existed. Whispers of a shadowy presence echoed through hyperspace, sending waves of panic rippling through alien civilizations. The laughter that had once mocked Earth had faded completely, replaced by whispers of dread. Humanity stood at a crossroads. They had proven their strength, earning respect and fear from the galaxy, but the true test was yet to come. Somewhere, in the dark corners of existence, the Void Harbinger stirred, drawn by the echoes of Aegis's awakening. And as the galaxy held its breath, Earth prepared to face its greatest challenge yet. The galaxy was changing. The once mocking laughter of alien civilizations had turned into whispers of fear and unease. Humanity, the species that had been dismissed as irrelevant, now commanded a power so immense it terrified even the most advanced empires. But with that power came consequences. Nathan Cole hadn't fully anticipated when he first activated Aegis. Nathan sat alone in his quarters aboard Odyssey, staring at the holographic display hovering above his desk. The images showed reports of strange phenomena occurring across the galaxy, stars blinking out of existence, planets vanishing without a trace, and entire star systems collapsing into voids of darkness. It wasn't random destruction, it was deliberate, calculated, and spreading like a plague. Each event left behind an eerie silence. As though the universe itself was holding its breath, he leaned back in his chair, rubbing his temples. The void. Harbinger, that's what Aegis called it. A being of pure entropy, capable of consuming everything in its path. According to the Warships archives, the first builders had sacrificed their entire civilization to imprison the Harbinger in another dimension. And now, thanks to humanity's actions, the seal might be weakening. Nathan? Laura's voice interrupted his thoughts. She stood in the doorway, her expression concerned. You've been holed up here for hours. What are you looking at? He gestured toward the display. This, he said grimly. It's happening. The Harbinger is breaking free. Lavra stepped closer, her eyes scanning the reports. Her face paled as she processed the information. Are you sure? How do we know it's not just some natural phenomenon? It's not natural, Nathan replied. Aegis detected anomalies matching the Harbinger's energy signature at every location where these events occurred. Whatever this thing is, it's alive and it's moving. Lavra sank into a chair, her mind racing. What does it want? That's the problem, Nathan said, his voice heavy with dread. It doesn't want anything, it just consumes everything it touches, turns to nothingness. If it escapes completely, there won't be anything left, not the Krylos, not the Varnax, nothing. Lavra stared at him, her heart pounding. Then we have to stop it, we can't let it reach the solar system. Nathan nodded slowly. Aegis was built to fight it. That's why the first builders created the warship to act as a failsafe if the Harbinger ever broke free. But using Aegis against something like this, I don't know if we're ready. Dr. Emily Dawson joined them later, carrying a tablet filled with new data from Aegis systems. Her face was pale but determined. I've been analyzing the logs, she said. There's something you need to see. She placed the tablet on the desk, pulling up a series of diagrams and equations. The Harbinger isn't just consuming matter, it's unraveling reality itself. Every time it destroys a star or a planet, it destabilizes the fabric of space-time. If it keeps going unchecked, the entire galaxy could collapse. Ryan Hayes entered the room, his usual calm demeanor replaced by tension. We don't have much time, he said. Whatever this thing is, it's getting stronger. If we wait too long, it'll be unstoppable. Nathan clenched his fists. Then we don't wait. We use Aegis to track it down and stop it before it reaches Earth. Emily hesitated. There's one more thing, she said quietly. The first builders didn't just build Aegis to fight the Harbinger, they also designed it to reseal the prison if necessary. But doing so would require sacrificing the ship and probably ourselves. The room fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. Using Aegis to reseal the Harbinger would mean destroying the very weapon that had given humanity its newfound strength. It would leave Earth vulnerable again, stripped of its greatest defense. But failing to act would doom the galaxy and possibly the universe itself. Lavra broke the silence. If that's what it takes, then that's what we do, she said firmly. We can't save Earth by destroying everything else. If we sacrifice Aegis to stop the Harbinger, then we'll find another way to protect ourselves. Nathan looked at her, admiration mixing with sorrow. He knew she was right, but the thought of losing Aegis and potentially their lives was almost unbearable. Still, he couldn't argue. The alternative was unthinkable. The team worked tirelessly over the next few days, preparing Aegis for the mission. They studied the Harbinger's movements, tracking its path through the galaxy. It was heading toward the center of the Milky Way, drawn by the dense clusters of stars and planets there. Its hunger seemed insatiable, and each step it took brought it closer to Earth. Meanwhile, news of the impending threat spread across the galaxy. Alien empires that had once mocked humanity now reached out for help. The Krylos Dominion, the Varnax Collective, and even the Zentari Federation sent envoys to Earth, pleading for assistance. For the first time, humanity found itself in the role of reluctant saviors. Lavra coordinated efforts with the alien leaders, forging uneasy alliances built on mutual desperation. Together, they devised a plan to confront the Harbinger. Aegis would serve as the primary weapon, using its immense power to weaken the entity while smaller fleets distracted it. Once it was vulnerable, Aegis would deploy its core technology to reseal the prison, trapping the Harbinger once more. As the day of the battle approached, tensions ran high. The crew of Odyssey prepared for what might be their final mission. Nathan spent hours studying Aegis's systems, memorizing every detail of its controls. He knew that activating the failsafe would likely mean the end of the warship, and possibly the end of everyone aboard. Lavra stayed by his side, offering quiet support. "No matter what happens," she said one evening, "we'll face it together. That's what we promised each other." Nathan nodded, his throat tight with emotion. "I just wish I could have done more for Earth, for humanity." "You've, already done more than anyone could have asked," Lavra replied. "You gave us a chance to stand tall among the stars. Now it's time to finish what the first builders started." The battle began in the heart of the galaxy, near a massive black hole surrounded by swirling clouds of gas and debris. Aegis led the charge, its colossal form dwarfing even the largest alien ships. Behind it, fleets from Earth and various alien empires formed a defensive line, ready to engage the Harbinger. When the entity appeared, it was unlike anything they had ever seen. A vast amorphous shape composed of shifting shadows and dark matter, it radiated an aura of pure entropy. Stars within its reach dimmed and vanished, consumed by its insatiable hunger. The air crackled with energy as it moved. Leaving trails of destruction in its wake, Aegis unleashed its full arsenal, deploying swarms of autonomous drones and projecting energy shields to protect the Allied fleet. Plasma cannons fired beams of concentrated light, striking the Harbinger repeatedly. For a moment, it seemed like the attacks were working. The entity slowed, its form flickering uncertainly, but then it retaliated. Waves of dark energy surged outward, shattering the shields of nearby ships and reducing them to dust. Alien vessels exploded in fiery bursts, their crews lost in an instant. The Allied fleet faltered, retreating under the relentless assault. "We can't hold it off forever," Ryan shouted over the comms. "We need to activate the failsafe now." Nathan hesitated, his hands hovering over the controls. Activating the failsafe would mean sacrificing Aegis and himself, but he knew there was no other choice. Taking a deep breath, he pressed the sequence of commands. Initiating the process, Aegis's core began to glow brighter, its energy building to unimaginable levels. The warship positioned itself directly in front of the Harbinger, drawing its attention. As the entity lunged forward, Aegis detonated, releasing a burst of energy so powerful it rippled through space-time itself. For a moment, the galaxy held its breath. Then, slowly, the Harbinger began to retreat, drawn back into the dimensional prison from which it had escaped. The voids it had created began to close, stars reigniting as though waking from a deep sleep. The galaxy exhaled collectively, relief washing over every corner of existence. But back on Earth, the loss of Aegis was felt deeply. Humanity had lost its greatest weapon, but it had gained something far more valuable: respect. No longer dismissed as insignificant, Earth became known as a guardian willing to sacrifice everything for the survival of all life. In the echoes of the cosmos, the galaxy whispered not with laughter, but with gratitude, and somewhere, in the darkness beyond the stars, the void Harbinger stirred faintly, its prison sealed once more. For now, the galaxy was safe. But Nathan and Lavra both knew that peace was fragile and that the true test of humanity's courage lay not in wielding power, but in choosing to wield it wisely. The galaxy was quiet, too quiet. The battle against the Void Harbinger had left a scar across the stars, a scar that would take centuries, perhaps millennia, to heal. Stars that had been extinguished by the Harbinger's hunger remained dark, their light stolen forever. Planets reduced to voids floated silently in their orbits, empty and desolate. Even the survivors of the conflict carried the weight of loss, their minds haunted by what they had witnessed. On Earth, the mood was somber. Aegis was gone, its colossal form sacrificed to reseal the prison holding the Harbinger. Humanity had proven itself capable of standing alongside and even surpassing the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy, but at what cost? The warship had been their shield, their sword, and their symbol of hope. Without it, Earth felt vulnerable, exposed to the vastness of space and the unknown dangers lurking within. Nathan Cole sat alone in his office, staring at the blank screens on his desk. The room was eerily silent without the hum of Aegis's systems or the chatter of his team. For weeks after the battle, he had thrown himself into work, analyzing data and drafting reports for the United Earth Coalition. But now, with nothing left to do, he found himself unable to focus. His mind kept drifting back to the moment Aegis detonated, its core glowing brighter than any star, its energy rippling through space-time like a wave. He had watched it happen from the safety of Odyssey, but the memory still burned in his mind. Lavra Bennett entered the room quietly, her footsteps soft against the floor. She placed a hand on Nathan's shoulder, her touch gentle but firm. "You've done enough," she said softly. "It's time to rest." Nathan shook his head, his voice barely above a whisper. "I can't, not yet. What if we miss something? What if the seal doesn't hold?" Lavra sighed, pulling up a chair beside him. "We did everything we could. Aegis gave us a chance to fix what went wrong, to make things right. That's more than anyone else could have done. But at what price?" Nathan asked, his voice cracking under the weight of his emotions. "We lost Aegis, we lost our best chance to protect ourselves, and we saved the galaxy," Lavar reminded him. "If we hadn't acted, the Harbinger would have consumed everything. You know that as well as I do." Nathan didn't respond. He knew Lavra was right, but it didn't make the loss any easier to bear. Aegis wasn't just a machine, it had become a part of them, a symbol of humanity's potential. Losing it felt like losing a piece of himself. Across the galaxy, the aftermath of the battle continued to ripple outward. Alien empires that had once mocked Earth now approached with humility, offering aid and resources to help rebuild what had been destroyed. The Krylos Dominion, once arrogant and dismissive, sent envoys bearing gifts and apologies. The Varnax Collective, known for their ruthless expansion, pledged to share technology and knowledge with humanity. Even the Zentari Federation, typically isolationist, opened diplomatic channels, seeking to strengthen ties with Earth. Lavra played a key role in these negotiations, using her experience in politics to forge alliances based on trust and cooperation. She argued passionately for unity, urging the coalition to focus on rebuilding rather than retaliation. "We've shown the galaxy what we're capable of," she told the leaders during one meeting. "Now it's time to show them who we are, not conquerors, but guardians." Her words resonated deeply, earning her respect not just from Earth but from alien leaders as well. Slowly, the galaxy began to heal. Trade routes reopened, scientific exchanges flourished, and joint efforts to restore damaged star systems took shape. Humanity, once dismissed as irrelevant, became a cornerstone of galactic society, but not everyone shared Laura's vision. Some factions within the coalition pushed for aggressive expansion, arguing that Earth should seize this opportunity to claim territory and resources. They pointed to the devastation caused by the Harbinger as proof that the galaxy needed strong leadership and that Earth was uniquely qualified to provide it. Nathan found himself caught between these opposing views. On one hand, he understood the logic behind expanding Earth's influence. The galaxy was dangerous, and humanity couldn't afford to remain vulnerable. On the other hand, he shared Laura's concerns. Using Aegis's sacrifice as an excuse to dominate others would betray everything they had fought for. "We can't repeat the mistakes of the past," Nathan said during one heated debate. The Krylos, the Varnaks, they became powerful by conquering weaker species. Is that really the kind of future we want? The room fell silent, the weight of his words sinking in. Finally, one of the leaders spoke up. Then what do you propose? If we don't act, someone else will. We build bridges, not walls, Nathan replied firmly. We use this moment to create something better not just for Earth, but for everyone. As months passed, the scars of the battle began to fade. New stars formed in the voids left behind by the Harbinger, their light a reminder of renewal and resilience. Alien civilizations worked together to restore damaged ecosystems, planting seeds of hope where destruction had once reigned. Humanity's role in saving the galaxy earned it a place of honor among the stars. But Nathan and Lavra knew that true greatness lay not in power but in compassion. One evening, as they stood together on the observation deck of Odyssey, watching the Earth spin silently below, Lavra turned to Nathan with a small smile. "Do you think we made the right choice?" she asked. Nathan hesitated, then nodded slowly. "I think so. It wasn't easy, and it came at a cost. But we proved that. Humanity isn't defined by how much power we wield, it's defined by how we choose to use it." Lavra leaned her head against his shoulder, her gaze fixed on the horizon. "Do you ever wonder what the first builders would think of us? If they'd be proud of what we've done?" "I think they'd understand," Nathan said quietly. They built Aegis to protect life, no matter the cost. In the end, that's exactly what we did. Somewhere in the depths of space, the Void Harbinger stirred faintly. Its prison held for now, but it was patient, existing outside the bounds of time and space. It waited, biding its time until the seals weakened again. Until then, it observed, its shadowy form flickering faintly in the darkness. But for now, the galaxy was safe. Humanity had stepped onto a stage far larger than Earth, proving itself worthy of standing among the stars. The laughter that had once mocked them had faded, replaced by whispers of gratitude. And though challenges lay ahead, Nathan and Lavar knew that humanity's greatest strength lay not in its weapons or its technology, but in its ability to choose hope over fear, unity over division, and life over destruction. In the silence of the cosmos, the galaxy exhaled a collective breath of relief, tinged with awe. Earth was no longer a joke. It was a beacon shining brightly in the vastness of space. And somewhere, in the echoes of the stars, the universe whispered not with laughter but with gratitude.